This week on Tech Trends, National Data Protection Commission and the African Union European Union Digital for Development Hub project hold enlightenment session for data controllers and processors. Also on the program is my interview with Debo Onifade, CEO of Dillon Apps, and we talk about the growth of technological innovation and entrepreneurship in Nigeria. We'll give you more details in a moment, but don't forget, this is the program that takes you on a ride in 25 minutes to seek out innovation and creativity that are unique to Africa. A warm welcome to the program. I'm Walaemi Odunuga. Data and data sets are not objective. They are creations of human design. We give numbers their voice, draw inferences from them, and define their meaning through our interpretations.
We have global perspective. So you could be in Nigeria and also operate from other aspects of the continent.
It's an intensive training session for data protection officers, controllers, and processors to empower them with the necessary knowledge and skills to collect, process, and store personal and confidential data securely in full compliance with the law.
Now, let's attempt some questions based on the case study. And the first one says that what are the main concerns when collecting and storing sensitive data such as your biometric data?
The session, jointly organized by the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, NDPC, the African Union European Union Digital for Development Hub, and the GIZ Digital Transformation Center Nigeria, is in line with the Data Protection Act of 2023, signed into law in June by President Bola Tinubu.
Our perception is that someone who interprets data.
The aim is to foster a comprehensive understanding of the principles, regulations, and best practices associated with safeguarding sensitive information. The NDPC National Commissioner says their actions are in line with the key pillars of a strategic roadmap and action plan.
If the law is there, you have people who are qualified in law, or compliance, on the part of data controllers and data processors who will. So this is what is really important to us. On our part, what we have done with the law is have an action plan, is to make a roadmap of what to do, how to do, is to ensure about compliance, to ensure that issues of compliance will not become a culture. We say that what you need to do as a data controller and data processor, but the issue of accountability, we won't take that in the organization that told you to comply. We are not complying with breach of the law. So how do we now create it up and to look at the level of human capital? And these are about two pillars that were identified now. We have governance, we have human capital, we have the ecosystem that we at least what kind of data quality we have in Nigeria, and what kind of solutions, homegrown solutions do we have to address challenges that will come up. There are previous solutions for different parts of the world. We know that analysis. What can we do?
The training combines European Union expertise with insights from local experts to deepen the cooperation between the EU and Nigeria on data privacy and protection. The Commissioner Manager GIZ Digital Transformation Center Nigeria says that by educating data processors and controllers, organizations seek to minimize the risk associated with data breaches, legal violations, and reputational damage.
Data protection training has been organized so that we can lay the ground for further cooperation on digital transformation and advancement of data protection in Nigeria in particular. Going forward, after these trainings, what's going to happen? Because right now we are sensitizing and again we are training policy enforcers, so to speak, data protection officers, but they are going to apply their knowledge to reviewing, to monitoring, to making sure that organizations and people comply to this, what the action is to us. And so on our side, what we want to do is to develop data protection modules that are aligned to the Act and make it more understandable and accessible to users of this data protection policy, right? Those ones that will be monitored and have to comply. So we'll be looking at creating self-paced models and in class, maybe in-person training modules for innovation support organizations who can then trickle them down to their beneficiaries or their target groups, such as tech-driven SME startups and also other users like MSMEs who are looking to transform their businesses.
For some of the participants, the training has equipped them with essential knowledge to advance data protection.
This will go a long way to ensure that after they are through with this section, they go back to their various organizations. Being in position of leadership will be able to enforce the instruments that drives data protection. And in its simple form, it's just ensuring that they protect the data subject's right, looking at their right in terms of confidentiality, integrity, and availability that has to do with the data subject, understanding their personally identifiable information, how they relate with this data to ensure that there are no breaches, and they also abide by the law of the Nigerian Data Protection Act that was, recently enacted in the country.
I really like the fact that they started from the fundamentals of data protection, tried to engage everybody and also get feedback along the way. So the facilitator employed a one-on-one approach, just as asking questions, you can call on anybody's name, and also try to ensure that the understanding of what data protection really is passed to the audience. Then I think another thing I really appreciate is the fact that he tried to differentiate the difference between data protection, data privacy, and information security, ensuring that everybody has like a very broad knowledge of what the whole thing really entails. Then he also spoke about the law, how the NDPA applies to us as data subjects, as data controllers, and as data processors. So it's been really engaging and very enlightening.
For me, the two difference between data safety and data protection, and how the two of them really link up, and why the responsibility of data safety and data protection is a shared responsibility, and why we as data controllers, we need to actually play a lead role in ensuring that adequate policies are put in place to ensure the data we gather are properly gathered, stored, and actually processed for the purpose for which it was intended. So basically, those are the key highlights of what I've learned in this training today.
The ultimate goal is to instill a culture of data protection and privacy awareness, wherein every member of an organization contributes to upholding the integrity and security of data while adhering to legal requirements. The crew from the 15th Separate Artillery Reconnaissance Brigade operates the Shark, a Ukrainian-made drone with advanced technology, including a powerful zoom camera that can sometimes read the writing on clothes from 2 kilometers above ground.
Треба принести лінзу протерти, це мокро.
It is the product of Ukraine's burgeoning domestic drone program that has sprung up since Russia invaded in early 2022, producing a range of attack and reconnaissance UAVs that have played an increasingly important role in battle.
I would basically say that the Shark drone is the iPhone among drones of this type. Firstly, it is very easy to maintain, very easy to manage, and errors that may occur due to human factors are eliminated by control mechanisms in both software and hardware. We are basically flying without losses.
Апаратними і, в принципі, ми літаємо без втрат.
We have a 32 mechanical zoom and up to 120 digital.
Правий вверх, лівий вниз. Правий вниз, лівий вверх. Він досить стійкий до ребу.
It is quite resistant to electronic warfare. This has been tested many times. The technology behind returning it home is very well thought out because it can work without GPS at all. The fact that the Russians are trying to jam GPS signals, well, don't give a hoot. And the assembly, disassembly and maintenance of the aircraft takes us only 5 minutes.
The job of the team in the field is to identify targets and send the coordinates to artillery units, which then fire shells or rockets at them.
Ну він йде на нас, да? Ні, нормально, до сюди йдемо, можемо просто потім перейти. У нас камера правильна? Оп. Давай.
The crew said the Shark, estimated to cost around $50,000 each, was reliable, effective and simple to use.
А ви взагалі шпілитесь в ігри комп'ютерні?
Long-range eyes in the sky are particularly valuable in the Ukraine-Russia war, where artillery dominates the battlefield and thousands of shells are fired by both sides every day. A new project is combining art and science to show how our brains are stimulated when we see a beautiful painting. People visiting the Courtauld Gallery in London can try the technology and see their own brainwaves in real time as they admire works by some of the world's most famous artists, including Van Gogh.
I think we all know that there's something that happens when we look at something that is beautiful or something that's intriguing, but what this is showing is the pattern of your brain waves when you see something that intrigues or inspires or creates an emotion. And we're hoping that that will encourage people to come into museums and to try it for themselves. We're taking the actual headsets around to museums in the next year, to various museums right across the UK. We're starting right here this morning in the Courtauld Gallery, surrounded by these beautiful Impressionist paintings, just to see what it does to your brain.
Those taking part wore an electroencephalogram headset, which turned the tiny electrical signals from their brain into a real-time visualization of their reactions.
It's been really interesting actually. So walking around, I've just been taking it in just like normal, and then seeing what it actually looks like on the screen is amazing. Really, really, really good.
Research commissioned by Art Fund shows that while 95% of people agree visiting a gallery does us good, 40% visit less than once a year.
I think it's a great way to bridge the worlds of science and art, in fact, because they're using a scientific tool, which we use routinely in the field, and they're applying it in this context to really show people that science and art can come together. And the visualization that they've come up with is actually a really nice way to bring this signal that we're measuring, which could be otherwise boring, into a nice, lively form.
Research has also shown that seeing something beautiful triggers the release of dopamine in our brains, which is a known feel-good transmitter. It is also known to engage a region of the brain targeted in clinical treatment for depression, according to Rutgers University neuroscientist Dr. Ahmad.
When we engage with art that we find beautiful, again, our experience of art will change from one piece to another, but if you find beauty in a piece of art, that engages the part of your brain toward the front there, and that part coincides with regions that are usually targeted in sort of clinical treatments for things like depression, and it's also a seat of other signals for reward and pleasure and the concept of the self. So lots of things are happening in that area, and it's, I think, fascinating that engaging with art also engages that same area.
The Art Fund hopes highlighting the positive impact of looking at art has on our psychology and well-being will encourage more people to visit galleries and museums. Government policies are instrumental in supporting the growth of the tech sector and creating sustainable job opportunities. Investments in digital infrastructure and tech-focused education programs fortify the pipeline of skilled professionals, addressing workforce demands and stimulating innovation. But can streamlining regulatory frameworks for foreign direct investment in tech sectors amplify the impact of local startups? I discussed this and more with Debo Onifade, CEO of Dillon Apps. I start by asking him about the intersection of engineering and technology as a way of shaping the future of businesses in Nigeria.
For those of us that studied engineering, both terms, engineering and technology, are largely the same. But the Nigerian society currently suggests that engineering practitioners are those traditional engineers like civil engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and so on, while the technology specialists are the people that deal with software, computers, and that's okay. One thing I can say is that the entry barrier to becoming technology specialist is pretty low. In 3-6 months, you can pick up a skill, UI, UX, for example, graphic design. And in 1 year, you can pick up software development skills. In the traditional engineering, it probably takes you have to go to school 4 or 5 years of education to build those skills. And so in my own case, I belong to both categories. I'm a core engineer with an engineering background, and I'm also in that tech space. Now, whichever way you look at it, both fields will, and I'll use the terms interchangeably in this interview, have core major roles to play in Nigeria development. And I like to highlight 3 areas. The first is export. And, Nigeria will become greater when we start exporting a lot. And I keep telling people, we're a country of the only advantage we have in our population is that it can help us produce a lot more. And when we produce a lot, it should be good enough for us. And it should be good enough to also export. Look at a country like Indonesia. The key to Nigeria's progress will be export. And we'll have to grow to a point where small and large companies can export. Of course, I'd like to talk a lot about digital export. Nigeria can make a lot of money. Small businesses can do a lot. They can do a lot better in Nigeria if they're able to export their talents, remotely. So if you look at if Nigeria can grow its digital export market and agri export market, tremendously in the next few years, we can grow a lot, and tech will be a driving force.
And in what ways do you think the professional engineering community can contribute to fostering innovation and technological advancement?
So I think the first thing that I like to say is there must be better collaboration between traditional engineering, like I said earlier, and tech, the new tech industry. We can't succeed without having both groups working together. You have a group, Nigerian Society of Engineers, must find ways to collaborate with the high-tech industry. And that, to me, that's the first thing. You go to America, most things are done. You have a lot of different groups, but you also have a lot of collaboration. So I think if we have better collaboration among the different design groups and the tech sector, the new tech sector, I think certainly we can do better as a country.
Debo, let's talk about government policies now. Is there a way they can be tailored to support the growth of the tech sector and, possibly create sustainable job opportunities for young professionals?
I think the first thing is I like to talk about the regional governments. People talk a lot about federal government. I think the regional government, the state governments have bigger roles to play in this regard. And it's not about, training. People talk about training, capacity development, which is good. I also talk about that a lot. But the states have to embark on strategic partnerships. And I'll give an example. Let's say Ogun State. I'm from Ogun State, and the governor or his team wants to go to Singapore for a conference. And they meet some potential investors. They say, we want to come to Ogun State to do X, Y, Z. And they have a deal. As a state government, you should think about what you can get for your state. For example, it's okay. Do you guys hire developers, occasionally remotely and say, oh, yeah, yes, we do. What kind of skills? Oh, C#, front end, React, okay. What other areas do you need from time to time? Oh, we need call center agents. Okay, cool. Instead, you're right, as a governor, you write those things down. You build partnerships. Okay, can we cut a deal that as you're coming to invest, you will hire 250 engineers or 250 remote staff in Ogun State? And they say, and maybe you agree, the answer is yes. You come back to your state, you assemble your team, and you try to build capacity. Maybe the investment in a period probably take them 1 year to get to the state. You have a 1-year strategy to build capacity for that job opportunity. You provide infrastructure for the team. You provide fiber to good quality internet, and then you are training your people for a specific project. And that to me is as important as building capacity. If you're building capacity and you don't have strategic partnerships that will hire these people, you will not even know what to focus on. It's not about let's train them. A lot of things I see, federal government, we're going to train people on AI, train people on this. Sometimes I'm seeing irrelevant trainings that will not really add value. A lot of unimportant. So capacity development in terms of data training should be tailored at meeting specific needs. Of course, local needs first, but specific foreign needs so that we can enhance export markets. So I think the states can embark on good strategic partnerships to bring the jobs to their states, but also provide relevant infrastructure to help the engineers after they start working.
All right, Debo, still on the role of states, what's your perspective on how they can incentivize the establishment of digital hubs to promote tech innovations and entrepreneurship?
Now, to give a quick example of Texas, state of Texas in America has done so well with oil, but they've understood that oil will not give them the kind of sustained growth that they want. They need to bring brilliant people to their states. And so they made state taxes zero. They're trying to encourage immigrants. And typical white Americans will not move there from the north, from the west. So they felt, okay, we can bring in brilliant immigrants. So what have they done? They've found ways to incentivize. But as they're trying to encourage the immigrants to come to their states, they're also bringing companies. They're doing things together. They're doing things to encourage brilliant immigrants to go there. So you have a lot of Nigerians that live in Boston. A lot of Nigerians leave Boston for Texas for good opportunities because the state has deliberately tried to bring people to their state. So in Nigeria, as a state governor, it's not just about improving capacity, but it's not just about setting up digital hubs. If you set up digital hubs and you don't have good schools, you don't have specifically created infrastructure to support this, you will still not get the kind of talent that you want, or you don't have jobs for them. So if you have talent in your state and there are no jobs for them, they will end up leaving your state. So states have to provide relevant infrastructure to encourage the talents to stay. Like I said earlier, find strategic partnerships, companies, find ways to bring companies to their states, just like I said, Texas has done. To when everything is to get when you meet all their needs, all the needs, typical needs of the talent, they will stay back. And when they stay back, the economy will develop.
Last question, and I need you to answer this in less than 30 seconds, if possible. With the increasing importance of virtual assistants and IT support services, how do you see our indigenous apps evolving to meet the growing demands of businesses?
I think the first thing is we need to understand the local needs. Now, I think many people don't understand local needs, so we're exaggerating some needs. We need to think about local needs and meet local needs, and we need to diversify. A lot of apps focus on, like I said earlier, there's a lot too much focus on digital loans, digital payments. I think we need to better understand our needs in Nigeria and build applications and build solutions that will meet those unique needs, and then we'll think about export market.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights on the show with us, Debo Onifade, CEO of Dillon Apps.
Thank you.
This is where we draw the curtain on this week's episode of the program. Thank you for tuning in. But as always, Tech Trends is here to share insights, trends, and developments happening in the tech space. And if you missed other parts of the program, you can always catch up on the Channels TV Tip accounts where we have all of our episodes. And I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite editions. For Tech Trends, I'm Olayemi Ojunuga. I'll see you next time.